So we're going to get started today. Evelyn's going to show us how to make her salmon pecan crusted tartlets. And what do we start with, Evelyn?
Well, we start with salmon that we've minced really well. And just put that into the bowl. Go for our chopped dill pickle. Chop that really fine. 1 tablespoon of minced onion. Our mayonnaise. Mild cheddar cheese. A tablespoon of lemon juice. And half a teaspoon of dried dill weed. And we mix this up just thoroughly till it's just so incorporated that one bite gets all the flavors. So this recipe takes 2 pie crusts. I basically smooth this out a little bit, and then I take the pecans, and don't be afraid to crush these really fine, because when they're left a little large, which these are a little bit larger than I use, they may poke through your crust, and then it might be hard to get them up. So I'm just going to basically spread this out. And
so you would chop these even finer than this?
To the point they're almost ground.
Okay.
And the recipe calls for 1/3 cup on 2 pie crusts, but you know what? Let's be liberal with the pecans. Get them all over it and use the extra ones.
Okay.
So I'm going to press this in.
Oh, that's a good trick, Evelyn. I didn't do that when I made them before.
And when they're left this big, they may pop off when you're trying to get them. But basically you cut them into their 3-inch rounds. And you should get 10 out of each pie shell without having to re-roll it.
Great.
So we're ready to put these in our pan. And basically you just remove some of this crust from around it. You don't have to grease your pan. You just tip it upside down and press it into your pan.
Is that because the oil from the nuts?
The oil from the nuts, plus you want to use a non-stick pan. So just get that in there, and you don't have to do anything fancy with the edges. As you see, some of those pecans will fall off if they're not pressed really good. Now, we're ready to put the cream cheese in. The recipe calls for 3 ounces of cream cheese, and it's a scant teaspoon. Basically, we're just going to ballpark this since we aren't cutting. Okay, we're ready for the filling. So we'll just go ahead and use these same. So you just kind of ballpark it again, and it's going to be up above. You're going to think, oh, it's too full. But really, it doesn't melt down over the side. It does just great. If by the time you get to the end, you're short a little, borrow off one and even it out. Okay, great. So they're ready to bake, and you bake for, at the contest I baked them for 17 minutes. And there's a range of time, so depending upon how hot your oven is, just kind of keep your eye on them. When they look nice and golden crust and the top's just starting to brown a little bit, they're done.
Perfect. Well, let's bake them off and see how they look.
Okay, great. And then let them sit for about 5 minutes to cool in the pan. And then from there, we're going to sit them on the rack for about 5 minutes, because these are filled with yummy cheese that if you bit one while it was hot, you might burn the roof of your mouth really good. So carefully, once they've cooled a little bit in the pan, lift them out and let them cool on the rack. See how nice they lift out? Just the combination of the oil and the nuts. Okay, let those cool for a minute. They'll be ready for tasting.